Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for X support. Any kind of updates and as such, I usually go about on Twitter X. Um, yeah, regarding channel updates, just a quick update here. I'm still trying to get around and have some time to record some footage from some games here. Claire Obscura is still having issues on even playing the game at this moment in time. So I started up Death Stranding. My objective here is to try and go about on making a series out of it, kind of almost like a diary. It's going to be a long format one, and but yeah, I'll try to go about on Death Stranding. Um, I don't know when I can have enough episodes so I can have comfortably have a backlog of them to make a consistent publishing schedule. But when I have, I will let everybody know there. And then eventually, when I can manage to go around with my own specific issues with Claire Obscure, I will also try to initiate a gaming series on that game because I really want to play that game. I still need to organize the active gameplay series here. But yeah, other than that, we got already complete gameplay series and 1080p ones, which are the older ones. So yeah, let's go for the news. Monday, it's a little bit slow day, but we got kind of, to a certain degree, an update regarding the 50 series. I covered this because, again, the usual independent reviewers, the likes of Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus, which usually are the ones that I usually rely on independent reviews, they supposedly they have the graphics cards, but they don't have access to the drivers to make the reviews. And even if they manage to do so, given that I think the 5060 is today, the 19th, or tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure when the official launch date is. But yeah, in the meantime, even though we got this issue, even if they manage to launch the GPU today or tomorrow, again, given that these independent reviewers and other independent reviewers, not only these two, don't have access to do the proper review. We did, in the meantime, I think late last night, from my part, the out of the blue, there were some previews out there, so not reviews, previews, which how do I say it? It lends the again that NVIDIA is trying to nitpick or to choose which outlets are going to have access to the review of this GPU. Given that again, any kind of reviewer that wants to make a review here, if they were not chosen or approached by NVIDIA to have access to do a preview, which by itself is by itself it's already a decision that lends itself to favoritism, let's say. And some of the outlets that made this preview, which always has some conditions, preconditions for this kind of situation. I've got here from GameStar, Games Radar, Tom's Guide, Ju Video, I don't know who it is, Xkey, and another outlets. I think that accepted the conditions for the preview. I think one of the conditions, they only managed to compare with the 4060 and the 2060 GPUs, which it's very odd. There is no comparisons with the 4060. Again, I think I think it's to try and focus on the graphs in terms of frames and how they are portrayed in that preview, and one of also the decisions made by NVIDIA or the preconditions for these outlets have access to the GPUs and the drivers is they only manage to test specific games for that. Some of the outlets do mention this situation in terms of the preconditions for having access to this preview. But again, it's not about really the preview thing here. It's more about how NVIDIA went about and approach some of these outlets because again, Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus and even Daniel Owen, they didn't receive any kind of this invitation, let's say, for this kind of access preview. And even if they were approached by it, from what I understand, they wouldn't do any of this preview because the fact is you are skewing the perception of the review process itself. That's the main thing here. Um, I've got some videos here from Gamers Nexus, Hardware Unboxed, and also from Daniel Owen that I saw, where they reference this situation in specific, and they go about specifically Hardware Unboxed when a couple of years, I think with the 38 or the 40 series, they were contacted by NVidia to basically alter their editing process or the review process that they have regarding NVIDIA GPUs, and to a certain extent, Gamers Nexus have been kind of approached in that sense for the 50 series, which they wanted them to focus more on multi-frame generation and all that jazz. I will leave their videos. I will pass by through them. But yeah, this is I don't think this is good, especially for consumers. Again, you will see some commentary regarding this situation because people will say that these independent reviewers are envy because they didn't receive the early access to make the reviews or to have the clicks and the such. Again, I mentioned specifically Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus in this case because they have funds and they have a way of acquiring by themselves the GPUs in terms of the hardware itself. They don't have any issues regarding that. They usually are self-funded by the community that are interested in their impartial views on in terms of the products they review. And they went about it, and I really do recommend you to watch because it's a warning of, again, by the fact that these outlets that have access to the preview, the review itself can be tainted in a certain way to a certain preferential treatment in terms of how they do the review, because again, they were selected by NVIDIA. They were contacted by them to if they wanted to access this preview program, let's say, to have what it's one of the most interesting or important things here is the access to the drivers themselves, so the GPU can function and be done in a professional way in terms of how the card can compare itself to the remaining stack of hardware in the market. But yeah, this shows that NVIDIA really doesn't care about the consumers. They are trying to skew the perception of this 50 series, which is going to be, so usually is the 60 class cards, the most mainstream GPU in terms of getting performance per the value there. And I think they know that this GPU is not a good evolution from the 4060, and they are trying to hide with this within this kind of a preview phase to skew the view of how this GPU will perform uh, comparatively, especially with the previous generations. But yeah, I don't like this kind of trying to block people that might be less positive or more realistic, or having a more realistic approach on how they perform their reviews. But yeah, we got here from Hardware Unboxed. They did this video. They are at this moment in Computex, and they commented about it because they were caught off guard because of this preview event that some outlets had out of nowhere. The same thing can be said from Gamers Nexus. They go about a little bit more on how they are being kind of treated in the backstage from NVIDIA, and kind of the pressures that they're being trying to get pressured from NVIDIA regarding the review process, and how the content that they usually make, especially from the engineering side of the NVIDIA GPUs. They got a good informational stuff and educational stuff from a thermal engineer that they like to work with, which has a lot of stuff regarding the cooler stuff and the fans and everything, and other people that they are from NVIDIA. And basically, what NVIDIA is trying to do is, if you don't change your editorial, how you go about the review our own GPUs, we might cut access to this kind of persons where you can do this kind of content. And then lastly, we go about also with Daniel Owen regarding this situation. He does a pretty good case of how this is might affect the review process on some of the outlets, especially the ones that had the preview. Even though the preview is not the main issue here, is the review process of everybody else. It's not a fair game in the sense that the reviews outlets usually have around 1 week or so to prepare the review process and do all the graph, all the charts, the comparisons in different situations and scenarios. And at this moment in time, they don't have, because the drivers will only be available for the rest of the people on the day of launch, and then they will have access to make the review process by itself, which is going to come later than these people that have the preview program access. They will have already the the drivers to start their own review process, which will come out earlier. And to a certain extent, we might consider them tainted reviews, because again, favoritism in this scenario is can be perceived in that sense for these outlets. They're already doing the preview stuff there. So yeah, take it with a huge grain of salt. And uh, usually my advice is Gamers Nexus and Hardware Unboxed and even Daniel Owen, they usually do pretty good reviews. Every one of them have their own specific ways of going about, but it's always very comprehensive. They do an analysis of the what is in the market. They compare it with their own tests, and I really do trust them, because they focused on consumer first perspective of the products that they review. But yeah, it's a shit show for Nvidia. I think at the time of recording this one, this video, I think Jensen already did his keynote speech presenting officially the 5060. I think again, I'm not following that much. Computex, if there is something interesting there, I will try to bring it out during this week. But yeah, it's. Um, it's a situation that it's not a good situation, because nvidia is trying to again obscure and deceive customers with this kind of tactics, which is not good by the end of the day. Even again, I don't care that much if you tend to prefer to buy more nvidia or amd GPUs, whatever it is your camp there. I think uh, I think the more information and that you have before making a decision to purchase any kind of hardware, the better it is, and the more cleaner and independent that outlet that does the review can get, the better for the consumer at the end of the day. I don't see any good thing to take out of something that it can be skewed because of favoritism of the company itself that launches the hardware, in this case nvidia, because then might as well these outlets be the marketing team for the company, and in this case nvidia, to do their marketing work for them. There might be a bigger scheme out there. Gamers Nexus touches on probably this kind of tactics comes from higher ups, so it's like a global situation. It's not something that is specific to certain regions or markets. But yeah, it tends to probably align with the higher ups on the respective departments of marketing and client stuff there. They are trying to go around and do this kind of situation here. But yeah, I do recommend, and I will leave links for these free videos. I think the most comprehensive one and the most urgent one to see might be Gamers Nexus, because they touch up on certain things that are occurring with them at this moment and that might be reflected on other outlets. that usually are well known for independent review. This kind of pressure that NVIDIA might be doing in the background. And also after, again, Hardware Unboxed, they have their own situation with NVIDIA a couple of years ago regarding the 40 series or the 30 series review. Again, it's when basically after that situation blow up, they had a huge growth because they stood against Nvidia regarding this kind of tactics there. And then Daniel Lohman is a more recent guy that is doing his own reviews of GPUs. He mainly, most of them, he managed to buy by themselves. Other times he does manage to receive and do the independent review by himself, and he usually does an approach side by sides to try and compare it with specific hardware to see which one is better between his choosing and pickings of the GPU. But I think it's a good added value if you're looking for a decent GPU. To the more information that you have, the better your decision will be by the end of the day. But yeah, regarding NVIDIA, this is what I got here. Then I managed to pick up here Doom Dark Ages review here from Niche Gamer. Again, the overall sense is that this game is pretty good, but I think we might have, again, this is a 6 out of 10, supposedly. Again, trying to focus here of the bad stuff here. Got this first point. I don't think it's not that much in terms of influence of if people are buying the game or not on Steam. But there might be some compounding effect on certain decisions, which one of them the publisher couldn't be bothered to release the physical game with the game actually on disc. The story supposedly has become very Undoom-like, focused on uninteresting characters, and feels more like Warhammer 40k again. I don't know. Out of the place turret sections, some dull mecha sequences, and gimmicky dragon set pieces that get in the way of the main gameplay. And then again, for a $70 AAA game, it's too short, too mindless, and lacks multiplayer co-op. And again, insulting yellow paint guidance again. I didn't see any kind of video review of this game. Again, usually Doom is not a game that it's towards me and my preferences, but I always assumed that they had some kind of multiplayer option on the game, and it seems to be short, going in line with Doom and Doom Eternal. It seems. And the fact that it's $70 again, this is the new stay in terms of the AAA prices at this moment in time. But other than that, it seems that the game mechanics themselves, the core itself seems to be pretty good. Skull Crusher, which is this weapon here on the screenshot, seems to be an excellent weapon. I think the pairing mechanic is a good added mechanic there, even though it might slow a little bit the pace of the game. It seems, again, I didn't play the game, but yeah, other than that, seems very well doomed with some addition experimentation. But I think this might have some influence. I don't know how well it was covered in other reviews, but I found it interesting to bring this up on from this review here. And you can see even on the weekend, it didn't pass the 30K all-time peak, which is it's a shame because the game seems to be overwhelmingly or at least very positive in terms of the people that bought the game and played the game. There isn't a lot of negative feedback regarding this, but yeah, I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's a conjunction of the price. Maybe some other like games that will launch recently. People are still playing it, so they didn't jump into Doom at this moment in time. I don't know, but it's something interesting. Even in owner estimations, again, it's very low for what Doom, at least what Doom Eternal did. But yeah, it's very interesting. We will see how, in terms of sales, in a month, and then in 2 and 3 months, see if there is any reporting regarding sales of this game to see if it picks up a little bit later or if it's kind of a flop here. I don't know if how much influence Game Pass will have on this game. Sorry, I took off there, but yeah, it's very interesting of how this game came out in terms, given even the having a positive reception, but again, sales and all time peak players is very low. comparatively, especially with the other games from this IP. Sorry. Then we got Stalker 2, got a new update that already been launched. Supposedly a lot of, again, a lot of updates and fixes and patches. The notes are pretty extensive. Supposedly there's the notes here, especially regarding main and side quests stuff here, might have some spoilers on the fixes that they did, because I think they reference some items or something like that that might happen, that might be a spoiler, and they fixed that. It seems that this game is even closer to be what they intended to do to launch as. But yeah, it seemingly is getting better. Maybe it will get in a even better stage um, until the summer. I don't know. This is one of the games I'm curious about and trying out to see how it feels. But yeah, that's it regarding Stalker 2. They got a new patch, so if you're waiting for something, might it be a good opportunity to get in to Stalker 2. And then lastly, if you're an Elden Ring aficionado and all the lore inside, I follow up always with the lore as much as I can. And we got here the Tarnished Archaeologist. I think he doesn't have the enough attention that he deserves here. He goes about in a specific way where he tries to see any kind of real world references in terms of the lore and how the world works, and the inspirations that Miyazaki might have when he made certain things that happen in the world, being characters, how certain things work, and the inspiration that could be taken from the real world mythology and all that jazz. And the latest one, it is regarding Elden's Ring Secret of Divinity. It goes about and how I think this, if he is right, again, he does have a lot of logic on how he goes about and approaches the themes here. And this might respond to a lot of the reasoning behind, especially Marika, how she went about it, and how certain events happened the way they happened. If his theory is correct, and I think it is, makes a lot of sense, it might have give shines a light of certain things that people were theorizing, but they were not sure. And I think this might be a good one for you to watch. Again, I do recommend you subscribe to him because he does an excellent job of going about it and exploring and explaining why he thinks the way he thinks, by thinking and probably how Miyazaki inspired himself on introducing certain things within the lore of the game and the events that happened here. I think he does an excellent job. He has huge amounts of content from Elden Ring, and I think it's always a good watch, and it gives you a little bit more context of stuff, even architecture and everything in between. Is a very interesting content creator, especially on Elden Ring lore and world. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up here with some gaming deals. We got still Bioshock the collection, so the trilogy remastered version of the first two games, plus Bioshock Infinite and the season passes and everything in between regarding these games, 80% off. We got Cyberpunk, it's still on offer. I think the Ultimate Edition is the way to go because of Phantom Liberty expansion. It's 48% off that one. We got Death Store, seems a very interesting game, 75% off. Got around a day or so for you to try this one out. I think it might be a good game here. Seems very interesting on how they went about it. This one. Then we got Midnight Suns. Again, recommendation from my part. I did a gaming series of this game. I managed to, at the time, claim it on Epic Game Store. I don't know how long ago, and I did manage to do a gameplay series. If you're curious about this game, you can check out the first couple episodes, so you have an idea what this game is about. But yeah, very interesting, and I did enjoy this game. Then you got Pacific Drive, base game 50% off. Again, this is one of those that I really, really want to try out one of these days when I have time. And then lastly, we got The Witcher 3. Again, I recommend Complete Edition. Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine expansions, excellent. The story is pretty good. I do recommend first gameplay through vanilla. Maybe you can add like a texture pack or something like that. Something that might tweak the visual style there. But other than that, I only recommend gameplay mods on the second and subconscious and other playthroughs that you might want to go about this game here. But yeah, I'll wrap up here for today with a plug on my patrons for extra support. Again, the extra support is more in line for me to try and get around arranging a better storage solution so I can have backups of backups of stuff that I do for my clients. And of course, some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. So until then, Kunamy Master out.